Hello and welcome to My Miami Vice. I am Craig Cohen, and on this installment we'll be talking about the pilot episode of the show called Brothers Keeper. It aired on September 16th, 1984 and ran in a 2-hour time slot. After commercials, it equaled about 97 minutes, so you've got a nice feature-length episode there, and it does play like a movie. We get introduced to all of the characters, and it really sets up the world nice. And I can only imagine people watching it back then and saying, man, I can't wait to get more episodes from this show every week. After watching it again for this review, that's exactly how I felt. It really sets the world up good and has me excited for the 110 episodes to follow. The show was created by Anthony Yerkovich, who also wrote this episode, and in Season 1 he acted as co-executive producer. He would exit after the season. He did return for the 2006 theatrical feature film that was directed by Michael Mann. The episode opens in New York City, and we're introduced to the Philip Michael Thomas character, Ricardo Rico Tubbs. When the episode starts, we're not entirely sure who he is or what he's doing, but he's on a stakeout of some kind. And within a minute, we're introduced to a group of thugs who are coming by to harass Tubbs and try and rob him and whatnot. They're carrying a boombox and listening to the Rolling Stones song Miss You. Music would play an integral role in Miami Vice. It was originally pitched as MTV Cops, and very much the music is as important to this series as the fashion or the cars or even the characters themselves. In this episode, you have a lot of music. You have the aforementioned Rolling Stones song Miss You. You also have the Rockwell cut, Somebody's Watching Me. You also have Cyndi Lauper's Girls Just Want to Have Fun. And then, of course, the episode ends with a montage sequence set to the Phil Collins song In the Air Tonight, which pretty much defines the show. So Tubbs is staking somebody out. He follows them into a nightclub. It seems like he's going to assassinate this person, who turns out to be drug lord Calderon. Calderon escapes, and then we cut to our opening titles with the famous Jan Hammer opening theme, which is slightly different in this episode, and we don't get all of the same images that we get in the normal opening credit sequence. And then in another interesting difference, it transitions right to the opening shot of the episode after the titles, and it's basically a pan up on Detective James Sonny Crockett, played by Don Johnson. He's having a conversation with his partner Eddie, played by Jimmy Smits. They're on their way to a deal of some kind, and at that deal there's an explosion and Eddie is killed. At this point, the storylines converge, and basically Tubbs has found his way down to Miami looking for Calderon, and it turns out that Crockett is looking for the same guy. Crockett's an undercover detective with the Metro-Dade Police Department, and the episode pretty much plays out with their search for Calderon. The real interesting sequence in the episode is the meeting of Crockett and Tubbs. Basically, there's a deal set up between Crockett and one of his street guys, and then Fed and Rico Tubbs. And it turns out that 3 or 4 of the people there are cops. Now, Crockett doesn't know that Tubbs is a cop at this point, and vice versa. So when the police do show up, Crockett and the Fed stay behind to sort of play the role of, oh no, we got caught. And Tubbs and the other guy split. The only problem is Tubbs escapes on Crockett's boat. And we get a great chase scene here where Tubbs is racing through the waters of in and around Miami, and Crockett, knowing the streets, is chasing him in a car. It finally culminates when Crockett cuts him off at a bridge and is waiting for him and jumps down on the boat, and that's when we get the reveal that they're both cops. There's a lot of good action beats in this episode, and the chase between the two of them would have to be one of the series' best, just because of Crockett was chasing Tubbs, which was really cool. We also have most of the major supporting characters that would show up on the show during its run. We have Sandra Santiago and Olivia Brown as Gina and Trudy, Michael Talbot and John Deal as Wytak and Zito. And in this episode, we do not have Edward James Olmos, who would show up later this season. In the lieutenant role, we have Gregory Sierra as Lieutenant Lou Rodriguez. So that's a little bit different for this episode as well. The great thing about this episode is it pretty much tells a complete story. It's a little open-ended in the sense that at the end, yes, Calderon does get away, but it tells a story in a way that you can sit down and watch this as a movie, and it definitely has repeat value. Now, for fans of the show, you know that Calderon does pop back in, and we will touch base on that storyline when we get to the episodes that cover it. I will be covering all 111 episodes of Miami Vice over at mymiamivice.blogspot.com, and I'll also talk about both cuts of the 2006 movie when we get to that. So for more, head on over to mymiamivice.blogspot.com, and you can follow me on Twitter at Mr. Craig Cohen for updates on when I am posting write-ups on new episodes. I will also be posting audio reviews like this one for select noteworthy episodes. Thanks.